Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the Genius Master, Ruel. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. Okay, I'm going to go into this article entitled, If Your Kids Somehow Look Like Your Ex. Research says it may be for this odd reason. And it's specifically speaking towards the women. Because as the scriptures tell you, as the Bible tells you, and rightfully so, because the Lord designed it this way, a woman should only have one man. She should only be with one man, meaning she only supposed to sexually know one man her whole life. And as long as that man, which becomes her husband, is alive, she is not allowed or permitted to be with another man, you know? And that's how women are designed. That's how it's supposed to be. Because you even have situations like this happen all the time, literally all the time, you know, as this is, you know, you can look this up, but I'm gonna read a little bit of this article that when a woman sleeps around with multiple men, all the sperm from that man, it stays with her for her entire life. And that DNA and all that, first of all, that's why these women have so many issues, because you have all these different men's DNA mixed into you. And a man's DNA, a man is you know, his literally his DNA is meant to not override a woman, but it's meant to stick with that woman. And she attunes to that man through that DNA, you know, and through the spirit. This is a spiritual thing too. And when she attunes to that man, she becomes, she starts to act like him, look like him in certain cases, starts to think and move like him. But then when you have a woman who has all these different man's DNA they see within her, it's like they're fighting for domination. All this literally is like it's fighting for domination. And it drives that woman insane. And it can even show up in the children that she bears for whatever man, So I'm gonna read a little bit of this article and I'm gonna get a scripture and Lord, it's edifying. It says, moving on after a breakup is hard enough, but the memories of your ex may linger. And as it turns out, your kids with someone else may even somehow look like your ex. Apparently, your ex's DNA can actually hang around and you might see some of his features in your kids. Sure, you packed up and torched his things, tore down the pictures of your first vacation together as a couple in Miami that were hanging above your bed, unfriended him on all social networks, even LinkedIn. And when you meet people with the same name as his, you instantly hate them. Unfortunately, this doesn't mean he's not lingering. Your ex's DNA may not be entirely gone, even if he is, and they just so happen to have a so-called black woman. It says, according to a 2014 study from the University of New South Wales, even after you moved on and found your actual soulmate, your horrible ex may not actually be gone. Turns out his sperm is still hanging around after all these years. Yes, that's right. Your future children might end up looking exactly like the man you never ever wanted to see again. Thanks to fruit flies, there's some freaky research showing how exes can continue to hunt you and your children, which is not hunting. That's genetic. That's how it's worked. That's how the Lord designed it. Because when a woman bears seed, she's supposed to bear seed from that man, or of that man, that one man that she's supposed to be with. There was no such thing as exes in the beginning. This is it's Matthews 19, starting at 1, and I'm gonna read it in the AMP. Now, when Yahweh Shai had finished saying these things, he left Galilee and went into the part of Judea which is beyond the Jordan, and large crowds followed him, and he healed them there. And the Pharisees came to Yahweh Shai, testing him and asking him, "Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for just any reason?" He replied, "Have you not read that he who created them from the beginning, made them male and female, man and woman. He said, for this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and shall be joined inseparably to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Right. Inseparably, meaning they were meant to be together forever. That's how the Lord designed it. And that's what it's going back to. That's what it's going to be. And especially in the times to come, when Isaiah 4:1 take place, the women that's paired up with these men, you are going to, if you make it, the women that make it is paired up with the men that make it of the elect. That will be your husband forever. And those will be your wives forever. And it's going to be a beautiful thing. It ain't going to be I'm tired of this, but it ain't going to never be nothing like that. It wasn't like that in the beginning. It was only through wickedness from that serpent, that led us all the way, led us all the way down to where we are to this day. But it wasn't like this in the beginning. It says, so they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what the Most High has joined together, let no one separate. See, he said, what the Most High put together, no man may separate. Y'all are meant to be together forever. That's how it was designed to be. And that's a beautiful concept. So there was no such thing as exes in the beginning. That wasn't supposed to be like that. But then it goes on. The Pharisee said to him, why then did Moses command us to give her a certificate of divorce and send her away? He said to them, because your hearts were hard and stubborn, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives. But from the beginning, it has not been this way. See, he said, look, it wasn't supposed to be like that in the beginning, but because y'all wicked, like I said, y'all were hard-headed, because your hearts are going to your mind. Y'all were hard-headed and stubborn and didn't want to fall out to the ways of the Lord, but wanted to do your own ways. That's why that came about. But it wasn't like that in the beginning, and it won't be like that in the kingdom of heaven. We won't be putting away our wives for another man to go and have them or have their way with them. It'll never be like that ever again. And we gonna ensure that the other nations abide by this too. They gonna get with their wife, and they're not gonna be permitted to put her away. Verse 9, I say to you, whoever divorces his wife except for sexual immorality, meaning she commit adultery. That's what it's talking about. Even when it say fornication in the KJV, it's talking about adultery. Or she do anything that's outside of the that's not anything that's not permitted. So, cause see, it can't be talking about sex before marriage because she's his wife. So how would it be fornication if, according to the world's definition, fornication is sex before marriage? So it's not talking about fornication. It's anything that's considered sexually immoral by the Most High. So that can be sex with relatives, sex with animals, things of that nature, or sex with the same sex. And then, like I said, and marries another woman. Let me read it over. It says, I say to you, whoever divorces his wife except for sexual immorality, right, except for her doing anything the Lord considers immoral, and marries another woman, commits adultery. Meaning, if you put, and I'm reading the KJV as well, it says, and I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, the same thing, sexual immorality, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whosoever marry her which is put away, do commit adultery. So when it said you put her away, and you commit adultery by doing so, you taking on another wife and pushing her away. You causing her to go and commit adultery. Because if you're not dealing with her and you put her away, naturally she's going to want to still be with a man. So she's going to go and find another man. That's what we see in today's world. It's a whole bunch of people sharing each other. That's not how it's supposed to be. And it says, and whosoever marry her, which is put away, do commit adultery. So you put her away, she go and commit adultery with with somebody else. She's going, she's going to go and get with somebody else, which is not lawful, because women are only supposed to be with their man. If they're not with their man, they are allowed to be single, but they can't be with no other man. But in this society has made it okay for women to go and get another man, and that man that deal with her, well, she already belonged to somebody else. So now it's basically a whole cycle of adultery. Adultery. Which I'm gonna keep going. Let me get a quick precept. Let me see here. What is it? Reckoning. I forgot. Let me see. I think that's what it is. Yeah, here we go. Now this is 1 Corinthians 7. Starting at 8. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I, because Paul was single. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. That burn meaning burn with passion. You want a spouse, you want somebody to share life with. You want somebody to be able to, have sex with and different things like that. It's better to marry, be with somebody than to have to try to struggle and deal with that alone, because that can lead you into sexual immorality or fornication. It says, and unto the married I say, yet not I, but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband. And if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. So Paul's saying the same thing. Look, don't put her away. If you get upset or mad at her or whatever, and you tell her it's over, you put her away, you stop dealing with her, and you cut her completely off, even when she try to reconcile to you, that's not good. I'm gonna read the next verse. But to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother have a wife that believeth not, and should be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. So even if she, and it's vice versa too, but speaking for the women, if she ain't, she not a believer, but she still want to be with you, don't put her away. If you dealing with her, because if you one of the things, if you do, you will cause her to go be with another man, and that's not how it's supposed to be, and that man would be dealing with another man's wife. That's not how it's supposed to be. Now, verse 10, back in the AMP, the disciple said to Yahushua, if the relationship of a man with his wife is like this, it is better not to marry. But he said to them, not all men can accept this statement, but only those to whom the capacity to receive it has been given. Right. So he said, look, it's not for every situation, every man to be in this situation. Only for those that is meant. Some men can be single, which is what Yahushua go on to tell them. Some men can be single for various reasons, but other men, they're going to be with a woman. Now, that's all I wanted to get out of that. So go back to the statement, going back to this. Like I said, a woman, she's supposed to be with the man that she, first had sex with. That's her husband. That's who she's supposed to be with. And and there's many cases where you will see like a woman, and she'll know for sure if it's traits or qualities that her child has of a man she has previously been with. She'll know. Now it says scientists at the University of New South Wales discovered that for these buzzing little flies, the physical traits of previous partners are actually passed down to their future children. In the study, the offspring traits the offspring's traits matched up those to the first male the mother had mated with, and not the biological father. This study sounds like a Maury episode just waiting to happen. Researchers think that the lurking DNA from the first partner, which I ain't gonna call it the evil X, might be absorbed by the female's eggs, so not even fruit flies can seem to get away from their exes, and now they have an everyday reminder of them. It kind of makes you feel bad for all those fruit flies you battled in the kitchen this morning. It says that means your kids could actually receive some genes from your ex. Right. They speaking to the women. They're writing this to the women. It says the study author, Dr. Angela Cream, said, we know that features that run in families are not just influenced by genes that are passed down from parents to the children. Various non-genetic inheritance mechanisms make it possible for maternal or paternal environmental factors to influence characteristics of our child. Our new findings take this to a whole nother level, showing a male can also transmit some of his acquired features to offsprings sired by other males, she explained. But we don't know yet whether this applies to other species. So, let me see. I read this. It says, telegony, the notion that a male can leave a mark on his partner's body and influence her offspring with a different male is actually nothing new. In fact, it comes from Aristotle, but we dismissed and incompatible with genetic science in the early 1900s. If nothing else, this idea of X's lingering for far too long and leaving their mark is frightening. Add this study to the list of one of the many reasons to always wear a condom, and see, they're still promoting that wicked wicked mindset. Sleep around, if you first of all, dating, there is no such thing as dating. The Bible doesn't condone dating. It doesn't promote dating. There is husband and wife. You get married, a woman gets married off by her father, and that's the man she be with. If she step outside, she sleep with another man, both of them get put to death. That's point blank simple. Won't be no divorce, and it won't be none of that. She sleep with another man while she married, she get put to death. He get put to death. Both of them get put to death. And now there was situations where if a woman's, husband died, she was allowed to remarry. But we obviously know that that's not going on in this society. These women don't care if you alive or not. They will do whatever they want to do. And that's why it's going to be so much judgment on them. Look, it says even man believes that every father should get a paternity test for his kids just to be sure. That should never be a thing. That should never be a thing, Now it says genetics isn't the only thing that could cause certain traits to be passed down to offspring. Let me just kind of skim through it. Okay, well, that's the end of it. So yeah, I'll just read it. It says, she said this could be seen as a maternal effect such as diet or drinking, where the mother's environment are her previous mating partners. We have to realize that it is not just DNA that gets passed on. It opens up the opportunity for all the other pathways that we had excluded, right? Because a woman, I didn't read this, but a woman, when she have multiple partners, she takes on again traits from the previous man she been with. So she might start to act like him, do things like him, even when she's with another man. She's still attuned to that other man, and that's how she is, because that's how women are. They are receivers. We are, and when I say receivers and givers, I'm not saying like we give and they just take. I'm saying we give the sperm, they receive our sperm. They receive the DNA from the man, and both DNA from the man and woman is what produces that child. But the man characteristics is always with that woman. That's why she's supposed to only have one husband, Let me get something else. Let me get this first. This is Sirach chapter 7 and 25. Starting at 24, hadst thou daughters, have a care over their body, and show not thyself cheerful toward them. Meaning, don't be overindulgent with them. Don't be too lenient with your daughters. You watch out for them. You take care of them and make sure that they don't abuse themselves. Because a woman without the guidance of a man, a man in his right mind, a righteous man, a man of the Lord, a woman who's not being guided by a man of the Lord is being set up to destroy herself. Or even just a man that's, in his right mind. I can even say it like that. You know, a woman that's being guided by a man that's that's in his right mind, she's gonna, she'll have a better outcome in the future versus a woman either who's not being guided by a man at all, or a woman who's being guided by a man that's not teaching her the right things or teaching her anything. She's going to destroy herself. Now, that's both for little children, young girls and older women. I say older, I mean women of age, all the way up until older, because women need men. Now, verse 25, marry thy daughter, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter, but give her to a man of understanding. See, you marry your daughter out to a man of understanding so she can continually be guided by a man of the Lord, and being guided by a man of the Lord, that ensures that she doesn't destroy herself, and she will have a better outcome and be able to produce children and replicate that same method. Her being, her teaching her children to follow after the Lord and follow after you as a man. Now, verse 26, hast thou a wife after thy mind? Forsake her not. If you got a woman, that's willing to serve you and she's she's thinking, she moves like you, like I said, after your mind, meaning she thinks like you, she acts like you, she respects you, she's doing what you need her to do. Forsake her not. Don't put her away. Don't get rid of her. Don't do her wrong. That's the type of woman you should want to keep. And sadly, that's the type of woman that's extremely rare in today's time. It's extremely, extremely rare to find a woman like that. As the scripture say in Proverbs 31, who can find a virtuous woman? And this was said over 2,000 years ago. So how much more now in today's society? It's extremely rare to find a woman like that. It says, but give not thyself over to a light woman. So right, don't give yourself over to just these any women out here, because a lot of these women, they good at pretending. They good at pretending to get you to thinking, have a perception of what how they want you to perceive them in a certain way, but they're not really like that, So the scriptures warn men about that. But just going back to the point, like I said, you can, like the article said, women retain DNA from men they've been with. That's why in the kingdom of heaven, first of all, that's why we all get new bodies. So we can be perfect. We won't have no imperfections. We won't sin. We won't go off. And furthermore, all the women, every single woman of the nation of Israel, started with the elect women that be saved, will be back virgins again. Every single last one of them. Every single woman that get a new, every single Israelite woman will get a new body, and they will all be virgins. And you will officially be your husband's wife in that time, when the new bodies come and it's time to, do the, marriage and everything. All of you gonna be virgins, and you gonna only be with that one man, and there will no longer be women having multiple husbands or been with more than one man in their lifetime. All Israelite women will have only one husband, and they will only know one man. You're not even gonna remember the other guys you've been with, that's not even gonna be a thought in your mind. For all the Israelite women that's of the elect that be saved, you're not even gonna remember any other man outside of your husband. Only you and your husband, So, and all your children is gonna have only his characteristics. No other man characteristics, no other man traits, no other man this, that, and the third, So, all the children that you bear. So, Lord will, it's an edifying lesson. I just want to speak on that. And on that note, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing His word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping His word of sincerity and the truth. And until next time, shalom.